How about now? Can you guys hear it? We've had so many technical difficulties so far on this show. Good God. We have perfection until Dr. Raj comes on. So I think we got it all squared away now. Now Skype crashes. Are you kidding me? You still there, Dr. Raj?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but your video cut out. I'm not sure if that...
Okay, let me restart this real quick. Oh, yeah. Man, this is the
worst. Rough start tonight. There we are.
Let's see.
We're back. You're back. Okay.
Okay, man. I just hope that
can you guys hear him okay?
Tomorrow's fantasy day isn't as bad as these technical difficulties.
Okay. Yeah, all right. So we have perfection to start this show. I got my soundboard, I've got the intro videos, the music's flowing like this. The show feels like a lot of people say, is this live? Because I've got everything so smooth running, but tonight I've had Skype continue to crash. The audio just went out. My soundboard is going crazy. Anyways, we got Dr. Raj on. You can find him on Instagram at RSF49ers. He's a doctor. He's a physical therapist as well. And we get to talk to him about injuries. He's going to join us for a good 15 or so minutes to 20 minutes, okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. So first thing I wanted to talk about, Dr. Raj, is the Pat Mahomes situation. Now, for those that don't follow me on Instagram, I went live with Dr. Raj on our Instagram Thursday night halftime show, which we do every single Thursday night on Instagram. We go live together. We talk about the Thursday night game, talk a little bit of 49ers, because his following will get upset and angry. And they come in, and there's like 350 people in his live. And they're like, why aren't you talking about the 49ers? And then they like, some of them scream and yell and stomp their feet and leave.
They get heated. They want to hear about the Niners.
But during that live, we went ahead and talked about Pat Mahomes, because the injury just happened right before we go live, right? So we get on here and we start talking about it. And Dr. Raj pretty much nailed it, saying that based on the fact that they, that kneecap came out of the groove that it sits in, and it looked like they popped it back in place, you immediately said, I'm pretty sure dislocated kneecap type of issue. And we talked about, what's the severity of that. We weren't, we had to find the details out. But it looks like it's a 3-week-ish type of injury. But to my knowledge, and I've done a little research, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but aside from the ACL, the LCL, the MCL, all the ligaments that everybody kind of knows about, the PCL, there are 2 ligaments on the side of the kneecap that kind of hold it inside that groove in the knee. Is that correct? I forget what they're called.
Correct. Yeah.
But those ligaments hold it there and keep it like inside that groove. And if it pops out, doesn't necessarily mean it's torn those. It just needs to be popped back in, and then the healing process needs to take place for 2 to 3 weeks so that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, about. So basically, like you said, like the ligaments are weak. No stability now at the kneecap. So when it pulled out, it distracted out of its joint capsule, and then now, since they put it back in place, it's really lax around it. The muscles are weak. So the good thing is he didn't have any ligamentous damage. That would have been really bad. They would have had to have surgery. It could have been a, really, really bad thing. But now they got to build up the stability in his knee. Even if he comes back, 3 weeks is being pretty optimistic. I still think it can be up to a 6-week issue, just depending on how strong the knee feels, how good he heals. He's young. He's an athlete. Young athletes, they heal pretty fast. There's going to be some swelling, some soft tissue swelling, some edema, things like that. But honestly, if he can heal fast within 3 weeks, I wouldn't put it past him, because it can be, like a lot of the people are recommending, all the reports out there saying about 3 weeks. And that's his goal, is to come back within 3 weeks. But as you noted, the good thing is, like I said, the ACL, MCL, the meniscus around the area, they're not damaged. It's just a lot of weakness, and there's poor stability in the knee. And one thing that I had mentioned that night, and I was talking about actually before the injury happened, I kept saying, I feel like he could have an injury happen down the line to the knee because of the ankle injury. I think it could have happened down the line. And honestly, the fact that Andy Reid made him run that QB sneak and he had a bad ankle, to me, that was kind of a bad decision, because the knee's taking a toll, because he's got weakness in the ankle.
For sure.
And now it's putting a lot of pressure on the kneecap. So, to me, it kind of went hand in hand.
Yeah, no, I definitely thought that it was a mistake for them to run him out there, to call that kind of play with a guy that he's their franchise quarterback. It was just kind of disturbing that they didn't treat him with a little more care, their franchise guy. So real quickly, just to kind of recap my take on this, and I could totally be off, and I appreciate you. Yeah, Dr. Raj is a baller, says Mike. He definitely brought it on that live on Thursday night when we were talking about it. And so to my knowledge, actually I want to ask you one quick question, because I tore my patellar tendon from the bottom part. I talked about this with you earlier, where here's the kneecap. The thigh goes into, essentially, for just simplifying it, the thigh goes into the kneecap, connects to it, and then the patellar tendon, which comes from like the shin area or underneath the shin bone or wherever, comes up and connects to the bottom part of the kneecap. So it's connected. The kneecap's connected by both the thigh and the patellar tendon, and that's how it stays in that line, right? I ripped it off the bottom, and my kneecap was like essentially floating up above, kind of at the lower part of the thigh. How is that? My doctor, when he did the surgery, mentioned nothing about the two ligaments that were holding it down from the sides. Is that... He didn't mention anything about sewing those back on. So when you tear it from the bottom, could it float up like that and still have those ligaments intact?
Yeah, possibly. Again, because the kneecap is held, as you said, up top with the quadriceps, and then down below, the lower structures are stabilizing it. So from the sides, you're not really going to have, unless it's a very severe dislocation where it rips tendons with the kneecap along with it, and and meniscus on the side, then you're really going to have an operation where you really come in and clean up that whole knee, and you're going to have to sew from the sides. But like in your case, you basically ripped the patellar tendon, and that's going to be from the anterior bottom portion of the knee where you had. So it probably fell in, maybe fell off to the side. But the force to have the ACL involved and stuff like that, that's just a severe force. And that wouldn't happen unless you're taking, like we talked about on that live, like a really, really tough lateral blow from the side.
Yeah.
That would kind of compromise the ACL. So that's how I knew. I really didn't think there was going to be any ACL components, because he didn't take that side view. Because when you see ACL or MCL, you see the twisting mechanism usually in the knee. It's like a plant twist, and then the lateral force. Boom.
And like we talked about on the other live on Thursday night on Instagram, is a lot of people think that the ACL you have feeling in, but if you snapped your ACL very cleanly, like in a soccer game, sliding on the ground, very controlled, and somebody landed on it and it didn't tear the MCL, the LCL, the PCL, or anything like that, you don't have any feeling in the actual ACL itself. So it's very hard for, to my knowledge, an NFL player. And again, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this stuff, because you're the doctor. I'm not. I'm the fantasy football analyst that speculates all day long for a living. But typically, when you tear an ACL in football, you're doing this, and it's tearing something else. It's tearing the MCL, the LCL2. Meniscus is usually involved because it's like padding in between, right? And if you're doing this, you can imagine you're ripping some of that padding. So yeah, typically with these kinds of injuries, you would assume that there's no other damage to the knee. But my question would be this with Pat Mahomes. So if that what do you call this? The place in the femur, is it that the kneecap is resting?
So in the patellar groove.
Patellar groove. Okay. Yeah. So it's not about pain. It's about, to my knowledge, having it happen again if they don't give it enough time to heal, right? It's like he's more susceptible now because it's a looser fit.
So it's not as stable, like I was saying. So the biggest thing it's kind of like think of a sprained ankle. When you start spraining your ankle, it starts being susceptible to more sprained ankles,
right?
Because there's no stability at that ankle. So once you have that type of injury, a dislocation, it's come out of its place. So what's to say it can't come out again? If you're not strong within the quadriceps, if they don't do a lot of knee extension and a lot of closed chain exercises to strengthen that quad, to stabilize that knee, if you can't stabilize that knee, he's taking hits, he's running, he's putting weight on that leg, it can come loose again and dislocate down the line. So they really have to be careful and really strengthen that knee. And again, the reason that I said it could go up to 6 weeks is depending on the fluid, the swelling, edema, those types of factors. If he's having a lot of swelling and he's trying to exercise to stabilize that knee, he's going to have some pain. He's going to have some discomfort, and he's not going to be able to hit it as hard to get those exercises in to stabilize that knee. So they're going to set him back and say, you know what, let's take an extra week. We want that knee to be strong, because if they send him out there and he takes another hit and that knee dislocates again, now the second time he dislocates it, if he ever does, then he can have some ligamentous damage, because now the ligaments are weaker associated with the kneecap. So what's not to say next time, if he does have one, hopefully he doesn't, what's not to say he can't have ligamentous damage. So that's where the ligaments start getting involved, like we said earlier. Luckily, he didn't have any, ligamentous damage, but with the weakness it has right now, you never know. So they got to be careful with this type of injury. And again, like a sprained ankle, when you sprain your ankle, you come back again a couple weeks. If you come back too early, you roll it again, you sprain it again, and then it just keeps coming down and down and down until something really bad happens, and you might fracture it.
So could a brace hold that kneecap in place and make it so that literally there's no risk at all? You know how a lot of college or high school and college athletes now wear braces to prevent any kind of knee injuries. Is that something that can hold the patellar tendon in? And why wouldn't he wear that like till the end of time now?
I think honestly, and that's the treatment. The immediate treatment right now is going to be putting him in a brace, let the swelling cool down, and then of course take the brace out when he's doing his exercises, and then they start advancing it, start putting more weight on it, start lateral cutting, because then he's got to make his cuts and stuff like that. But even after, still, once he's rehabbed and he's got strength in that knee, putting a brace on it is not a bad idea, because a brace, the whole goal of a brace, the whole idea of a brace is to give it stability. And what have we been talking about for the last 5 minutes is poor stability in the knee. So, of course, a brace is what's going to be really good to keep that stability. It's like my man Garoppolo out in 49er land. What's he wearing this season on his knee? He's wearing a brace, and it's giving him a lot of stability in that knee. And I think that's really giving him that peace of mind where he's going out there and he's making a lot of mobile plays where he's running, escaping in the pocket. And I think it's because he has that confidence to run on that knee. And as a quarterback, any athlete, you have to be confident. You don't want to re-risk. In the back of their mind, they always think, oh, God, am I going to get re-injured? When you have an injury like that.
Right.
And Pat Mahomes, if he has that brace, I think it's going to give him an extra layer of confidence.
Yeah, for sure.
Back out there. So I definitely do think a brace would be good for him.
So let me ask, let's play a little game. So my skull, I have the Halloween. I'm not sure if you can see the foot or the feed right now of the show. But the skeleton keeps falling, and I'm trying to get him to stay. Let's see. All right, there we go. So let's play a game real quick. I'm going to say a week, and you tell me the percentage and odds that Mahomes could return for that week.
We're in week 7 right now,
yeah,
right?
So... and their bye week is like week 12 or something, right? I think. Next week, percentages that he would return.
If he's Wolverine, 90%. But I don't think he is. I'm going to give him 5%.
Okay. Return after one game of rest.
Maybe 20%.
And return after just 2 games of rest, which is still beating the timetable.
I'll give him a 50% chance.
And then returning after 3 games of total rest.
3 games, I say 75%. I'm still not sold on 3 games.
Okay. So it sounds like this isn't a pain tolerance issue. This is let's not prevent further damage. There are some injuries where people can play through an injury and it doesn't really risk. Is a rib injury one that typically you can play through without creating more damage, which I don't get, because if the rib's broken, how would you not potentially be creating more damage? But you oftentimes hear people say this is a pain tolerance issue, can't cause further damage. Can you speak to the rib injuries while we have you on?
Depending on rib injuries, it depends. Because George Kittle, he played through rib contusions last year. Now, if it's a broken rib, a flat-out fractured rib, that's going to be a tough one to play, because you're going to have pain when you breathe, pain when you walk, pain when you laugh. I've had broken ribs myself, and you can't really do anything because there's no way of, like, even if you put like a wrap around it and you splint it and brace it, you're still having pain, and they're getting hit really hard out there. So that is an injury. If you have broken ribs, you're going to miss some time, unless you're just absolutely crazy and you have a super high pain tolerance. But the risk of refracturing and causing more fractures on top of the fractures is very high. So if you have a rib contusion, where it's not really broken, there's some bruising on the ribs, no fractures, you can play through it, and that is a pain tolerance issue. And that's what George Kittle played through last year. He had rib contusions, where he was having a lot of soreness. He had bruised ribs. His rib cage was all bruised up, but he played through it, and he just had to suck it up and play through the pain. And all these guys are big, tough athletes. They can play through it. But if it's a broken rib, then you can start having some issues. And depending on where the rib is, now this is where it gets kind of interesting. The rib, if it's like in the middle section or a little higher, close to where your lungs are, you run the risk of having a pneumothorax, which is a fancy term for a punctured lung. And I've had that before. Your rib can actually protrude through and cause you to puncture the lung, and then that's a whole other issue. So it really depends on the type of rib injury, whereas, versus it's the type of injury versus the pain tolerance issue. So if you've broken a rib, you're probably not going to play through it for at least a week or two.
So getting back to Pat Mahomes real quickly before we jump over to Todd Gurley, if you're giving any dynasty advice to people, time to freak out a little bit, or no? Is this something that they're gonna clean it up? They're gonna give him some off-season surgery, I assume, would be the best approach. And then once that situation gets tightened up, then he really doesn't, unless he suffers like another one, which proves that there's not that tightness there that needs to be there.
Yeah.
You're okay with him dynasty wise?
Oh, I love Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
I'm not freaking out at all. Again, you know what? It sucks. Injuries happen, but he really dodged the bullet that he didn't have the ligamentous damage that it could have been, the structural damage. He dislocated his kneecap. It's a tough injury. I'm not going to lie to you. It is a tough injury because, a quarterback, they need their mobility. He's got to run. He's got to be able to plan on that knee. But the time frame, like I said, within the 3 to 6 weeks, if he rehabs, and I honestly think the Chiefs are not stupid. They know this is their meal ticket. This is their franchise quarterback. He is their team captain. They're going to be very cautious. They're going to make sure that he's ready to roll before they throw him out there. Any team would. If you're an NFL team and your best player on your team had a pretty big injury, they're going to be safe. They're going to be, they're not going to risk it. I think if he comes back and it's 3 weeks and they're saying, are you ready? And he doesn't feel ready, they're not going to throw him out to the Wolves because they got a whole future to think of, and depending on how the rest of the team holds up without him, Moore played pretty good. And the defense really, really stepped up last week. So if those factors continue, of course they're not going to throw him out to the Wolves. So if they start getting on a roll, win some games, they're not going to throw him out there. And I really am not freaking out with this injury. If he would have tore his ACL,
yeah,
I would have
of course. Yeah,
that's a scary, scary injury for any player. Not to say this isn't a bad injury, but it could have been 1,000 times worse.
Yeah. Okay. And so after, let's say he rests for 3 weeks, they feel comfortable enough to run him out there. Is he, in your opinion, still the number one quarterback the rest of the way once he's back? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm of course biased, and that's why I'm asking you and having you on, because my reaction is start him while he's injured.
Right?
That's how much I love Pat Mahomes. Start him on his bye.
Most fantasy points next week, not even playing in the
Yeah.
lineup, right?
At least he won't get you negative points like some quarterbacks can. So maybe starting Mahomes hurt and on a bye is a good idea. But anyways, I got you on because I'm very biased to the situation, so I needed to remove myself slightly and ask you that question. But of course, that's how I feel that he's completely. Yeah. So Todd Gurley, in the next topic, I'm also, some would say biased on this topic too, because I'm waiting for Darrell Henderson to get going, and I even went on a show with you before week 1 saying that Todd Gurley was going to be the biggest bust. I talked about it since January, so it's no big secret here. But he hasn't gone away as quickly as I had predicted, but he definitely hasn't delivered the type of numbers people were expecting. The TDs have kind of been there, so he's kind of lingered around the 12 to 14 to 15 overall running back range in fantasy, but he's not in the top 10. He got hurt, didn't play last week, was looking like, because of the quad contusion, maybe not ready to play this week. And we don't know if quad contusion means knee, because the way the McVay and that coaching staff hide things from everybody. Now he's not even on the injury report, the final injury report. How is that possible when he missed last week because of the quad contusion? Can you speak at all to quad contusions, what you think? I mean, you're totally speculating, let me preface that. But what could be going on with him? Is it potentially some arthritis-related issues that are causing his body to overcompensate, break down? Is it a knee issue more than a quad contusion issue? Like, if you had to guess, like, what would you suggest?
So, honestly, the way I see things is Todd Gurley's knees are as bad as some of the patients I see at my work. I've said this a lot, not because I'm a Niner fan and I hate the Rams. I know a lot of people are going to say that. Versus when I talk about Todd Gurley, a lot of people say, "Oh, you just hate him because he's on the Rams." No, seriously, I've looked into his injury details and things like that. He's got some really bad arthritic legs. He's already had severe knee problems over the last couple of years, and he's one of those running backs where they grind him out 25 carries, high usage, like we've talked about. They just grind him out 26 carries, 30 carries here, grind. That's a lot of strain on the knees, man, on your patella, on your quadriceps. That's just so much pressure. That's why I think running backs nowadays, the way they use them, and we talked about your man CMC, Christian McCaffrey, not to get off the topic.
No, let's talk about that next, for sure.
Where running backs get used so heavily, it's just going to put a wear and tear on their knees. It's like a runner. When runners run, they're hitting their legs so hard on that asphalt, it's taking a big time toll on their knee. And honestly, his contusion or whatever, I think a lot of it is.
Get some water, Doctor. We're losing Dr. Raj. So
let me get some water.
Yeah, somebody call the ambulance. We lost him just before we got the Gurley news. I don't mean to sound selfish, but we lost him right before. This is gonna be one of those situations where he's on the gurney. We're about to lose him, and the selfish part of me is like, can you finish what you were talking about with Darrell Henderson? Is Darrell Henderson gonna do well? And Dr. Raj's mom is like, leave him alone.
Okay.
Okay, he's back.
So I've been sick. Real quick, I've been sick this week.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get better, and as you can see, not better yet.
This show, we don't worry, it fits perfectly with the intro of the show, the loss of the Skype video call. This is totally on par.
It's a good episode. So sorry about that. Real quick. So going back to, I think a lot of it has to do with the arthritic knees. He's got some really bad, banged up knees, and he's gonna keep on having knee problems where it's just going to be a wear and tear. It's a chronic condition now where his knee starts getting fatigued. Maybe the muscles aren't as strong. He's got contusions. He's got some bruising, some soft tissue damage. There may be some swelling in there. So if he goes out there and he's in practice or warm-ups, it doesn't feel right to him, he can't make those cuts, he's going to sit out, and it's just going to keep being one of those things where it starts creeping up on him. And again, because of his extensive knee history, I think he had an ACL, He's had those types of injuries, really high, extensive type injuries where he's had to come back. And then they put him in at a high level where he's getting those 25 carries, 26 carries. After that type of an injury, it's just causing him to have wear and tear on those knees. And again, it could be related to arthritis. It could be because his quadriceps are weak. There's no stability in that knee as it was before. It's weak. And then there's going to be some swelling and just breaking down on that knee, and it's causing him to have a lot of pain, when he goes out there. And I think that was what was going on in the Super Bowl. And they were being very vague about it. Oh, he's going to play, then he didn't play. Oh, he's okay, but he didn't play. I honestly think his issues are bigger than people are as they're letting out. They don't want to say it because they've paid this guy tons of money. And I think it's the organization trying to save face and say, look, we've paid this guy a lot of money. We can't let this come out and say, yeah, we screwed up. No team wants to admit when they've screwed up, So
is that lag better, guys? Everybody in the chat saying it was lagging a little bit. The video more perfect, more perfect crap to just toss on my plate is a slow connection for me. But I think I switched it over to Ethernet. We good now? Everybody, let me know. Okay, so that's good news. And I'll say with my patellar tendon tear, and I am a runner. I've run since like third grade. And so my knees are getting to the point where, man, it's getting bad. But I was playing basketball, and I've always been told by doctors that my calves are like super strong and my thighs are not compared to what they should be. And so I had overcompensation going on for years on my patellar tendons because my thighs were doing no work, and your body learns to overcompensate when you don't have the muscles or strength elsewhere. You just start using something else. And
Correct.
So my patellar tendons must be strong because they've carried me for years. Yeah. But I was just running full speed, jumped up, landed on my left leg, and it just snapped. So my question would be, is it possible that we're going to see a lot of other lingering issues with Todd Gurley? because his body's naturally overcompensating for what his knees can no longer do, which is a thigh contusion. Is that typically going to happen when you get hit though in the thigh, or is that something that's going to happen?
He's probably taken so many hits, but because of the fact that his knee is already weak, that's the structures around it, the hip, the knee, even the calf, maybe an ankle, they're weak because he's had so much knee problem. And, when you're a running back, the force you're generating on your kneecap, on your knee, on your quads, when you're out there on your lower limb, it's just a lot of pressure. And he's always upright. He's weight bearing. He's putting all those lateral cuts and things like that. That's just a lot of pressure. And when he takes a hit to the thigh, there's weakness already there, and that's causing these injuries to spring up. So he's definitely susceptible to all types of injuries.
Yeah.
So if I'm a Todd Gurley dynasty owner, I'm selling this man as much as I can.
Yeah, I've already sold him. Like, there's no shares left on my end because the writing was just on the wall. I'm just hoping that Darrell Henderson gets a 50% workload at least this week.
He's gonna get it eventually. I just don't know when. I think honestly, the Rams. This is the thing, and I think the reason they're having a hard time giving Henderson the ball, and I mean, you don't draft a guy like Henderson without knowing he's going to be your future of your team, because, as you know, how you told me how great he was in college. And that's the potential is there. But they're paying Gurley so much money that they have to play him. They would look stupid if they give this rookie all of a sudden. Because then there's going to be controversy.
So Malcolm Brown's likely out. Gurley's coming back even though he's not on the injury report anymore. He's coming back from the knee contusion. They're probably not going to give him more than 50% of the work, Gurley. So it has to go to Henderson unless they use Kelly, who's been on the practice squad. And the Rams are capable of that. But
they'll give Hendy the touches, but I think that Gurley's going to be, at this point, and this is why he's going to keep his fantasy value like you touched on, he'll get the goal line sneaks. He'll get the goal line carries. They're going to reward him with the touchdowns. He'll get the touchdown numbers.
Well, hoping Hendy gets at least 15 total touches or at least 10 rushes, because I think he's going to pop one of those off, and I can't wait for that first touchdown run, and I hope it's like a 60, 70-yarder. He's such a big-time home run hitting playmaker. So real quickly, do you still have more time, or do you have to go?
No.
Okay. So, but aside from, me trying to keep you on until your last breath, Alvin Kamara, ankle. Going to sit out this week. What do you expect, if anything, of him moving forward? Is he going to be hampered? I can tell you, I can read you the most recent news if you need to know, because you might have not prepared.
Let me get the update on that. On what is it?
Yeah, let me read it for you, because you can't know all. You're a 49er. You're so busy with your 49er stuff.
So busy. Sometimes I forget about these other teams.
Yeah, you don't. So just to let everybody know, he's not going to be on the news like I am. So I gotta provide him some of this information. He's busy on the ground during the off season. You're out there like with passes, like filming stuff. Like, it's crazy, man.
There are OTAs and with the team. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So Kamara ankle is out for week 7. This is inevitable after missing Friday's practice. The Saints will slide Latavius Murray into the starting running back spot. Let me just see if there's any word on the severity. They may not talk about how. I'm looking at all the news. There's not a whole lot of indication as to how severe the ankle injury is, but the fact that he's missing a game, I guess we're back to the speculation game. If a running back, and I don't know, does anybody know if it's a total high ankle or just mid ankle? Let me just see if I can pull up any news on that, on his ankle. Let's see. Yeah, so ankle. I'm not seeing anything about an extreme high ankle sprain, but maybe you can.
I hope it's not a high.
Yeah.
If you're an Alvin Kamara owner and he has a high ankle sprain, you're gonna be. That's bad news for you. You better hope it's not a high ankle sprain. Yeah,
I don't believe it is. I'm just trying to. They've been very hush on the severity of it. If anybody has any information, my community is pretty good about coming up with the details when I need it in a jiffy. But there is a 10-second delay or whatever, 20-second delay sometimes. But maybe speak to both a high ankle and just a regular ankle sprain. An ankle sprain, though, that it's bad enough to keep him out for a game. What is your projection for him that next week? If it's just a typical sprain versus the high ankle.
Okay, so first there's two different types: the regular ankle sprain or mid ankle sprain, where it's lower on the ankle, and then the high ankle sprain, where it's kind of up higher. on your malleoli and more up to where the fibula starts coming into the ankle, so it's a little higher up. Those high ankle sprains are tough because there's going to be less stability, more painful. When you try to turn that foot, rotate that foot, it's painful as heck. That's what Nick Bosa had on the Niners. He was out. That's a 6-week injury at least. If it's like a low grade, there's 3 grades of a sprain. 1, 2, 3. 3 is the very most severe. You can barely move it without pain. It's very swollen, tender joint. A grade 2 is painful. You can rotate it about 50% of the range of motion. But the difference between a 2 and a 3, if you weight bear on a grade 3, completely painful. You might need to be on crutches. You're definitely going to be on a boot. Grade 2, you'll probably be on a boot. It may have some pain when you're putting weight on it. Grade 1, there's swelling. You can put weight on it. It's not going to be too painful. You can have pretty much almost all range, maybe 75, 90% range of motion. So those are the 3 grades. Number 1, of course, is the lowest, so it's going to be the easiest timetable to return.
I'm not seeing that it's a high ankle anywhere. So kind of assuming that
probably a mid ankle.
Yeah.
So those aren't bad because you don't have as many ligaments and things around that type of that part of the ankle. So that's why it's not as bad. So your limitation of range of motion is not as limited, but you have the same 3 grades, 1, 2, and 3. The more, if it's a 3, you're gonna have pain with putting weight on it, and there's gonna be a lot more swelling. So if he's only gonna be out for a week or 2, it's probably a grade 1, maybe a 2. If he misses any time more than 1 or 2 weeks, then it's probably more of a grade 2, 3, and then you start getting worried.
Potentially able to come back to form, you think, based on the fact that we don't think it's a high ankle. Obviously, if it ends up being a high ankle and they hit it from us or whatever, then we have to reassess it. But if he's able to come back, how hampered do you think he'll be in the weeks following that?
I think Kamara should be okay because he does train pretty heavily. He trains.
Yeah, he's a beast.
His training regimen's pretty extensive, so I think he's the type of player that can bounce back. But I just hate running backs that have ankle injuries because that's really going to limit his cutting. I think if they're smart and the Saints, he should. If I was the trainer, but again, it's up to the play. There's a whole lot of politics that go on with players coming back. He should miss 2 weeks for this injury.
It does. I did find a piece here on Roto World that this was on October 17th, so 2 days ago, that says it would appear, and so this is just speculation. No one's got hardcore news breaking on this. Just that it would appear that Kamara has a high ankle sprain, barring a surprise of Friday's return. He's going to miss Sunday's road trip to Chicago. So I don't know that that's. I mean, it's not being reported everywhere that it's high. It's more like speculation. But what about weight? So he's a smaller guy. Is that something that's going to play to his benefit? That the fact that he's a lighter dude, he doesn't have like 250 pounds.
But it can also be more of a hindrance because maybe he's a little smaller guy, so he maybe doesn't have the stability as he could. Like Saquon Barkley, you seen that guy's legs?
Yeah.
The true trunks. Like to me, I think he was able to come back because he is a bigger guy, and I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, he's bigger, so it's going to put a lot of strain on his feet." But he's a stronger guy in his legs, so he can use the rest of his body to compensate, like those big quads, to take pressure off his ankles. So that's why I think having a bigger leg is actually going to be better for a guy like Kamara.
Okay.
Kamara's a little smaller, and he's going to take those hits a little harder, so that might be a little bit harder for him to bounce back from.
Drew Brees. Let's talk about Drew Brees. Let me put that up on the screen here. So the latest on Drew Brees is that he's starting to grip an NFL football. Let's see if I can pull up the latest on it so that he's back working with a regulation-sized football. This is great news for Brees' chances of returning sooner rather than later. There are some people talking about him returning just in this 1 week with the thumb. Do you know a little bit about the surgery he had?
Yeah. So real quick, it was a thumb surgery, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so he had thumb surgery. So anytime you have a surgery, especially of the thumb, so in your shoulder up to your neck, there's what's called the brachial plexus. And that brachial plexus, there's a whole set of nerves that comes down that serves all your upper extremity and it goes into your hand. So the reason that's a big deal for him to grip is because the nerves, when they're swelling, it puts pressure on those nerves and they don't work as much. Your sensation's down. Your grip strength is compromised. So for a quarterback, of course, you got to be able to hold the ball and hold it steadily, to be able to get that pass off. So with the thumb injury, you have this radial ulnar, you have your radial and your ulnar and your median nerve in there, and those things can get compromised. But because he's got that able to grip, that tells me that those joints are starting to, not joints, the nerves are starting to regenerate. The swelling is going down, and now he's getting his strength back. That is definitely a good sign for him to be able to hold the ball, and that there's not as much swelling. The nerves are probably healing well. Now he just needs to get that part of his upper body stronger. He needs to work on the upper part of his shoulder and everything distally from that hand to get stronger. And then conditioning. When he wasn't able to use that hand, they probably had him doing a lot of cardio, making sure he keeps up his cardiovascular system on top of it. So when you have an injury where you're not able to use that part of it, you exercise the whole rest of your body. And now that hand's kind of healing, they're starting to focus on that. They're going to focus on that part of the body.
Okay, McCaffrey, this is a sensitive topic, so I'll probably repeat several times throughout this that we love him this year. Absolute beast, number one player overall. I'm going to restate that several times in between this conversation. But they're giving him carries that are just almost asinine for a running back. He was utilized almost more than any other running back for their offense last year. He comes in. I don't know what his pace is now. I'd have to calculate it, but I think we were calculating 420 or 430 total touches, heading into this last week. So, or actually, I think that's what we calculated on Thursday night. But McCaffrey, if they continue to give him in the range of 400 plus touches, and even if you're just receptions are better than rushes, because rushes you're going into a line, you have 2 or 3 linemen jumping on your back, driving your knees into the ground. At least with receptions, you're a little bit lighter work. You can sometimes step out of balance. You're usually dealing with 1 or 2 guys tackling you versus 3 or 4 or 300-pound linemen. But
yeah, cornerback, not a lineman or a linebacker.
Right. So definitely better that he's not getting like 330 rushes, a season, or he's not getting that many. But the total touches are adding up. He is a smaller type guy, even though he's ripped for his size. If they continue to give him 400 plus touches a year, 420, 430, is it? I mean, we're looking at what happened to Larry Johnson. Maybe not as quickly. Larry Johnson, if anybody remembers, I don't know how many in here played fantasy football when Larry Johnson was the best running back in fantasy football. He played 2 elite years. Sean Alexander, 5 elite years. Todd Gurley is looking at the same track, and he's 25 years old. So this 30-year-old, when you're a 30-year-old running back, you fall off a cliff, no longer applies if you're getting that workload. Look at Todd Gurley, 25 years old. So I hope they back off, but is that your thinking as well? We kind of already talked about this on the Thursday night live, but
we touched upon this, and my thing is, as a running, and I'm a big running back guy. As a kid growing up, I was always a big running back guy. I love Barry Sanders, and everybody says, I can't believe you retired, but as a running back, you take the most wear and tear on your body. Running on, like we've talked about tonight, the theme, just putting so much strain on your knees, on your body, it just takes a toll. When you're getting that high usage and you're pounding between the guards and the tackles, these big offensive linemen that are 300 pounds, it takes a huge toll on your body. And honestly, these running backs flame out like crazy. That's why they don't want to pay these running backs top shelf money, because they're going to flame out. 3, 4, 5 years, maybe elite. You missed Priest Holmes was another guy we touched on.
Yeah.
He had a couple of years of really solid play, and it just caught up with him. His knees started to fall apart, and I love Christian McCaffrey. He's such a great player.
Yeah.
He's probably going to win a lot of people their leagues this year. He probably did last year. He might win a league next year, but eventually the carries are going to catch up with him, and he's going to break down. And I hate to say it, if it doesn't, prove me wrong, but that's why I love a guy like Frank Gore so much. Not just because he was a Niner. This guy's been in the league 15 years, and he's about to be the number 3 running back in terms of yards for all time.
That's crazy. I don't know how. He was so injury prone at his prime.
Coming out of college, he tore his ACL twice, but he's a testament of pushing through, hard work. But that's not easy. Most running backs are not Frank Gore. Most of these guys, Eddie George, he had a good couple years, And then all of a sudden, in his 5th, 6th year, he just like fell apart, and he was never the same. After a certain part, even LaDainian Tomlinson, he was carrying the league, he was going crazy, and then he just started to fall apart. Marshall Faulk, he was killing it. They gave him such high carries. He was the same thing. Christian McCaffrey, he was getting 10 catches a game, 20 carries a game, and then he started falling apart. Eventually, he's going to catch up, and he's going to flame out. That's what happens to these running backs. They get the ball, high usage, and they just flame out. It's fun to see it.
Yeah, I really hope that we don't see this out of McCaffrey, and I hope that they give him less work, and he can be more efficient with it. It doesn't mean that he's going to have less stats or anything like that. So let me talk real quickly about, and for those, I just went live on Instagram right here too. I've got RSF 49ers. You guys, if you're not following him on Instagram, follow him now. He is a 49er dedicated fan page. Is that what you consider yourself would be a fan page?
Yeah, I guess you'd say.
Okay. Or whatever, however you want to define it. But follow him. And if you're over on Instagram, go on over to youtube.com/The Fantasy Football Show, where you can see an interactive interview with Dr. Raj from RSF 49ers on Instagram. One other topic I wanted to touch on, I've been a proponent of staying away from Fournette this year, and he has proven me wrong up to this point because he's delivering. But my reason for staying away from him is bad decision making on and off the field, injury history, and the fact that he's just a bigger back. He fluctuated in weight last year, decided to lose a lot of weight, and it was the biggest red flag to me. But he was like a top 7 or 8 overall pick. One of my biggest bold predictions of stay away players for 2018, and it's because you lose weight at that size. I think we lost the audio on you real quick. You lose weight when you're a bruising back between the tackles. So that's not a good thing, and it could definitely lead to injury with a susceptible, injury-prone type player like Fournette. So Fournette obviously gained more of his weight back. He's playing well this year. Can you describe what might or might not? Maybe I'm totally wrong on my assumptions in equating weight to this, but what makes a guy like Chubb, who I consider to be potentially one of those guys that could leave. I love Chubb. He was in my top. He's going to be a top 5 to 10 running back. I've said it all. I said it all off season, and I love him. He's fantastic. If you cuff him properly to Hunt, when I think the time he could break down, Hunt comes back, you're golden, because Hunt is very, very good. He's even a little bit better pass catcher, obviously. So I've never once said don't draft Chubb. I just say draft Chubb. Make sure you have Hunt. And something people were very upset about is weird. People were like, you either have half the planet that wants to draft Kareem Hunt and half of them think you're an idiot for rostering a guy that's out for half a year. But I think when you draft a guy like Chubb or Fournette, you're looking at potential missed games down the stretch. Can you speak anything to that weight, that frame that these guys have with the knee injuries, and is there anything to that? Or am I just completely speculating off of just correlation of injury and big frame?
I don't think it's a bad correlation. I definitely think at some point over time, I mean, again, like we talked about, you're running, you're putting all that pressure on your joints, and as bigger people, I've worked with a lot of patients at work that are a little bit bigger, and they have knee problems because of all that pressure on their knees. So a bigger running back, a bruiser, they like to go pound the linemen. They like to pound between the linemen, put all that pressure on their joints. And eventually, yeah, I think there is some wear and tear. Not everybody like that. There's Mark Ingram, there's Jerome Bettis. Those guys have sustained over the last, over their careers to have a pretty good career. But you see it in like a guy like a Ricky Williams. There have been those that they flame out pretty easily because of their bigger size. And I think those guys do eventually flame out a little faster because they are bigger and they are putting a lot of more strain on their body. They're carrying their extra weight. They're running very hard. Those guys are bruisers, and those bruiser type running backs eventually they start getting those big contusions. They start getting knee problems. They're the ones that start getting the arthritic knee conditions, the tendonitis, the bursitis, those types of things where they start getting wear and tear, like a lot of those chronic injuries. And I think a lot of it has to do with they're being so big and putting pressure on their joints. So I think
we're gonna lose you on the show, man. I know it.
No, I think it's a fair correlation.
Yeah, I just feel like Fournette, it's not that he can't keep delivering these kinds of numbers all year. He can. It's possible for sure. But I feel like why not sell him high when you can sell him laterally for a guy that may be perceived to be not as good of a bet? A guy that's maybe, even if you can cross position to DeAndre Hopkins, who I think could be a top 1 to 5 wide receiver moving forward. I don't care about the past. High octane offense, got Watson throwing on the ball. No sign of injury. It's just he has slumped since his week 1 explosion, which people seem to forget about. 100 yards, 2 TDs in week 1. I go trade Fournette and something, even if you have to. You might be able to do it straight up for
DeAndre Hopkins for Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
I'm all over that.
Right.
mean, DeAndre Hopkins is one of the top receivers in the NFL. Yeah, okay, he's struggled a little bit, but their offense is great. He's going to get his eventually. You know, I think a lot of it is teams are doubling him up now. They know they got to neutralize him to have a chance to beat that team. He'll get back to it eventually. He's a really good receiver. He's a hard worker. I'm actually surprised Fournette's having a good season myself. I counted him out. You're right. He had a lot of injuries.
Right. Well, name the big running backs with his frame. Like, look at Brandon Jacobs. Remember Brandon Jacobs?
Yeah.
Monster. And he fizzled out quick. Even receivers, David Boston. Remember David Boston? He was like the most exciting wide receiver to play the position, just like DK's been exciting. But he flamed out quick. He got hurt because he was too big. That weight hitting the ground over and over and over. So, what do you think about DK?
Oh man, I talked a lot about DK when I was doing prospect.
I think you might be covering the mic.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah,
yeah. So I talked a lot about DK when I was covering the draft and doing my analysis, and I did a lot of scouting reports and things like that. I'm not the biggest DK fan, but because I think he's very one-dimensional, but it can work if he's on the right team. And honestly, of all the teams that he could have went to, he went to the one team that knew that they could use him the way they needed to. Because, you know, Russell Wilson scrambles all over the place, and he's just going to throw it up. And he needs a big guy that can go up and jump and get the ball. For him, he found the perfect situation. But because he is so big, I think he's going to be one of those guys where if he gets injured, it's going to be hard for him to come back and get back to that high level of ability that he can get.
Let's think.
He already had some injuries in college. He broke his neck.
Yeah. 2K, I got a comment. It's a super chat question from Juan here. Juan, I'll get your question up in a second. But let's think about this logically, okay? We have Rob Gronkowski struggle with injuries his whole career. Jimmy Graham's been struggling with injuries. Hunter Henry, Delaney Walker. The pattern here is a big frame player that mirrors what DK really is, which is a tight end in essentially frame wise. And it's like there's a reason these guys don't stay healthy because they're basketball players that are essentially hitting the ground over and over, probably at a capacity that they shouldn't be. Like your body probably just can't take. Like look at Delaney Walker, how big he is. For him to hit the floor or the grass, the turf, whatever, over and over, how can you expect him to stay healthy?
So much strain on your body. Yeah, I mean they're big clunky guys, and when they go down hard. It's like they say, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. That's exactly how it is. And DK's a great athlete. He's a super freak athlete. He's ripped. We all know his performance at the combine, but to be that big of an athlete, when you fall and you take hits, it takes longer for your body to regenerate and get back to where it is. Because imagine if you're that strong, to get that strength back, it's going to take time. And then if you're going out there and playing, you're not at 100%. You're at a 90%. And then you keep coming back down. You're never at 100%. You're always going to be playing at a lower percentage of what you should be. And that's what Gronk happened. That's what happened to Gronkowski. Perfect example. And he left the league after, less than 10 years because it just tore his body up. How many injuries did he play through? And it just tore him up. And I think DK Metcalf could be on the same path.
Yeah, that's what I predicted for him. I got a question from Juan here. Bench Monty for Latavius Murray, and start Lazard or Pettis. Now you're asking the wrong or the right guy of Lazard. We call him the Lizard, the Green Bay Packers wide receiver that kind of just came out of nowhere, and
Out of
he's
nowhere.
hit and miss whether he's going to do well, or Pettis. You love Pettis. You talked about it Thursday night, so I'm gonna assume that's what your answer is going to be there. But Montgomery, Lat Murray, I say Latavius Murray stepping into a number one role. I love Montgomery. At any point, he could eventually start getting work, but we have to assume that he's bench material or very decent flex, but not amazing until we see him produce like 2 games in a row, or the coaching staff come out and say, we're giving Monty the ball and feeding him. If they start doing that, I'm all on board at high-end running back 2 value for Monty, maybe even higher, but I'm realistic. It's a wait and see type of thing with Monty, and Murray's your running. He's potentially a low-end running back 1 this week. So what are your thoughts on both of those?
So I agree. So let me hit the Pettis
Yeah.
the Lizard first. So Pettis is also one of those guys that's so hit and miss. He struggled this year. He's had a lot of confidence issues with his, abilities. He's starting to find a groove the last couple weeks. Like, I know on the stats it doesn't look like it, but he's had some catches that were really big to set up a lot of big-time plays for us to score. He's had some drops. That's his biggest thing. But this week, they're out. They're without another receiver. Deebo Samuel is going to be gone because of a groin injury. So, honestly, the Niners are looking to really step up with their passing game. Dante Pettis could be the guy, but the Niners' run game is their key. They run the ball to set up everything. And I honestly think even if Dante has a decent game, it's all going to be predicated through the run game. I wouldn't start Pettis. As much as I love Pettis, I'm a Niner fan. I'm going to say,
Okay.
Don't start him. Take Laz. And then as far as Murray, yeah, you got to roll with Murray. He looks like he's the better of the two in that situation.
Yeah, Murray and the Lizard I'd go with. So now let me ask you about this. Now everybody here is fantasy oriented, and we have I believe the number one source on Instagram for anything 49er related. So tell me, give me some stat lines for these running backs for the San Francisco 49ers in week 7. So tell me, is like, just slam through it. So to be Coleman, 60 yards, touchdown, 20 yards receiving. Breda, 60 yards, 20 yards receiving, no touchdowns. Let's roll through the 3.
Okay, so this week, I'm going to say Coleman, again, goes with about 70 yards rushing, maybe about 25 yards receiving. I think he gets a touchdown. Breda, I think, is going to get about 90 yards rushing. He'll get you 25 yards, maybe 20 yards receiving. He's getting a touchdown. Breda's ready for a touchdown this week. I feel a touchdown coming for Breda. Raheem Mostert's not playing this week. He's out, or he's questionable. I don't think they're going to play him, and I think Jeff Wilson gets the game. He's a sneaky kind of guy that can sneak one of those touchdowns away from Coleman or Breda. So if Coleman and Breda don't get a touchdown, you can take Jeff Wilson for that. He might sneak one of those touchdowns away. But I wouldn't start him. I wouldn't flex him. He's just one of those guys that's going to steal points away from them. He's not going to get a lot of carries. That's how I think running backs going.
Xavier says, like the hat, Dr. Raj. What's the hat? Explain the hat.
So this right here, this is the Coach Shanahan. He wore this hat on Monday Night Football against the Browns. I had this hat before the game. I kept telling everybody, go get the hat. And now everybody wants the hat, and it's sold out. It's the Coach Shanahan special hat.
Nice.
Special edition hat he wore on Monday Night Football.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like it. So that's good to know on the 49er running back situation. So who's going to score the most out of what you just said it would be if you're
I think it's be pretty close, but I think Breda gets a little bit more.
Okay. What about dynasty wise? Is one of these guys going to eventually be the guy, or are they going to continue to share next year? If you had to predict what's going on with that situation for the future,
they're just going to keep sharing. As long as Shanahan's there, he rolls with 2. He's always going to do a split committee. He always has his whole career. It's hard to say that one guy's going to be, more so than the other. So I always think with Shanahan, he's going to have 2 backs. And Breda next year, he may not come back because he's on a contract year. So I hope they get him back. But, that's one of those situations where both of those guys, if you have them on your roster, you want them both on your roster. Jordan's
got a question. Running back 2, full PPR, Montgomery or Sanders, the Eagles running back. Start. Okay, so I'd say, in my opinion, I'm not ready to start Sanders because I don't think he has the workload yet. Whereas Monty, I'm pretty sure they're going to feed him enough to be relevant, but hopefully they commit to him. I want to say that in a questionable situation, I'm starting Monty. But if I've got like a back that's producing and doing well, then that's when you maybe put money on the bench. But I don't think this is that situation yet. Sanders could develop. Okay, start 2 wide receivers out of Auden Tate, Allen Robinson, or the Lazard from Green Bay.
I'd go Robinson. And who does Tate play this week? Who's their matchup?
The Jaguars, right, guys? Jaguars.
It could be a shootout. I'd go Tate.
Yeah. So let's see here real quick. Just make sure everybody's healthy. I answer so many questions on here. Sometimes I want to make sure I look up guys, make sure they're totally healthy, everything's good to go. Yeah.
Matchup. Yeah.
Jaguars. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's been playing good. I mean, he had 10 targets in week 3.
I picked him up in one of my leagues. I was happy with him.
Yeah, 91 yards last week with 5 catches. That's not bad. So
Dalton, that man throws the ball all day.
Yeah, not that the Lizard can't eventually get, going and be consistent. But I mean, let's give it a couple games before we sit somebody like Tate, who's been doing well for a couple weeks. But you wouldn't be crazy to go Lazard. Let's put it that way. But
yeah, you wouldn't be crazy.
Thanks for the question, Jordan.
Yeah, you wouldn't be crazy with that one.
Yeah. So I'm hoping Hendy breaks out this week. Sorry about all the troubles to start. Even when I launched the show and then I had to reset everything, we lost a lot of our live people. So usually this is like 250 deep at this point. I think we've had about 100 in the whole time, but I think what happened was on the second YouTube launch, it didn't alert everybody that we were live. So.
Yeah.
Or alerted some people and others. So we've been at 108 the whole time, or roughly the whole 90. But yeah, no, it's still okay. But usually by this time we have about 250. We actually breached 300 last week for the first time and kept 300 strong for a majority of the show. So it's growing, man. We got 3,600 subscribers. Started at basically zero in February. Yeah, so we have about I would say average about 3.7 million watch minutes per month. So 3.7 million watch minutes per month, which is awesome for a channel with 3,600 subscribers.
Yeah, it's pretty damn.
And unfortunately, a lot of people will watch and not subscribe, and they'll just come back and try and see. So we have way more viewers than the 3,600. But subscribe if you haven't. It helps the show. But my goal with this. Raj, is to turn this into like a Mike and Mike, even if it's just Smitty and Smitty. but essentially just be a like 10 to 2, a 4-hour a day show that people can count on, where they can come and find it. They can rely on it. And so once I get to I'm hoping to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of December. And if I can do that, then walking into next year, it's going to double and triple before the season starts, because that's the trajectory that I believe we're on, considering the other channels that I've seen do that started at 13,000, 15,000. And we have the interaction and the views, I think, that are above some of those channels that have blown up this year. So I'm really hoping that if I can get to that 10 by the end of December, it really will explode.
I think you got it, man.
In January.
It's getting there. It's good stuff.
Yeah, so maybe, I don't know if you're free to do this again next week, and then we play it by ear from there. I know it's hard to commit to something like every week.
No, I think that was fun. I think next week hopefully we can fix the technical difficulties. We'll get past that.
Yeah.
I'll have my headset and stuff next week because I think my daughter has it.
Little Robitussin won't hurt.
Yeah, I'm dying today, man. But I pushed through, tried to make it.
Yeah, you were questionable and you still played. So.
I played through the injury.
Yeah. But I thank you for joining. And you guys have any last questions for Dr. Raj before we go injury related? Because this guy is the specialty here. He's going to be the show's doctor moving forward. So we're going to lean on him as much as he'll let us, and hopefully he'll be back Saturday night. So we'll do the same thing Saturday night next week. So if anybody has any questions for him, drop it in real quick. Go Smitty, we all take laps for you. I'm not sure what that means, what you're referring that I did wrong. On the show, if we do something wrong, we say take a lap. So someone's telling me to take a lap. I don't know. Probably because of the technical difficulties,
Probably,
I bet.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
We should both take a lap for the technical difficulties.
Yeah, Cameron says, Juan, such a good community right now. He's only on IG, says Xavier. That's correct. You can find him on IG. You can also find you on Twitter, too. Yeah, what's your Twitter handle?
The same thing, OSF.
Okay.
It's actually, so it's our SF 49ers, but in the Twitter, it's OSF. There's no hour, so
Okay.
it's OSF. But you can
Okay.
find me there.
You can find him there, but guys, check him out. He's got when he goes live. Your main slogan's bang bang.
Bang bang, night of gang.
Yeah. So when he goes live, he's screaming. He. It's great. He's a really fun Instagram personality to follow and watch. So make sure you go check him out on Instagram. You can go to Instagram.com.
And for those that can't get the games that are Niner fans, I stream the games. So
yeah.
you get free. You get to watch the game for free. So
do you worry about that on IG at all? Do they?
You know, I did for a while, but I'm not gonna worry about it because if I do, I'm just gonna keep getting anxious. So I don't worry about it. But it's worked out good so far, and it's pretty crazy because I get so many people that tell me, "Oh man, I had a wedding or I had to go to this event and this." And
You're
that,
a lifesaver.
Watch the game, and I had my phone. And I was at the wedding watching the game because of you. I was like, well, there you go, man. So
yeah. So
it's a lifesaver.
If you guys do need to watch the 49er game, you can stream the game. Is essentially what we're saying right now.
Yeah.
So just follow him on RSF 49ers and make sure you do that. And then you can help me on Instagram get some YouTube people over because man, I'm telling you, if I could get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, it's not all about followers to me and subscribers. But with certain growth patterns, you kind of have to, focus on numbers.
Because the work, you want to get some. I feel it.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about followers, but at the same time, if you're putting in that work, you want to be growing.
Yeah. So for me, it's not about I don't let it dictate my content. So a lot of people will do a QB ranking video, running back ranking video, tight end ranking video, and they produce these back to back to back, and I feel like they start getting so repetitive and not helpful. I like to really be genuine with everything that I do, and I've had to keep myself focused on that. Man, it's a grind. Doing a video on YouTube every single day, pretty much, is what I try and do. Is a grind. It is like a 40-hour-a-week job on top of my sleeper.
That's how it is with my page. Like I've been, I put so much work into getting all the news, and I try to be on top of everything. I'm working a full job as a physical therapist, and then I'm trying to do this. And then every night, everybody on my page wants me to go live. Oh, can you break down the news? Are you gonna, and they want me to do my live show every night. And I'm just like, sometimes like this last week, I was exhausted and being sick. I was like, I can't do it. It's hard, man. Yeah.
Last two questions, and we'll let you go. Would you trade Montgomery for Breida?
Ooh, yeah, man. I'm all over Breida.
He's the right guy to ask on that. Okay, so he says
Breida all day.
He said
Breida with the heartbeat. He's number 2. He's like top in yards per carry. He doesn't even get a lot of carries, and he's one of the top 5, top 10 running backs in terms of yards. He's not getting the touchdowns yet, but they'll come.
And last question's from Doobie, and he wants to know: Barkley looked okay for normal use, or does Barkley? What's your prediction for Barkley rest of season? Basically, is what Doobie's asking.
You let Barkley roll, baby. He's the franchise running back. He's the best running back in the league.
Yeah.
You throw him out there with no red flags. He looks healthy. They're saying he's good to go, and you just enjoy the fantasy stats that he's about to give you, man. You don't sweat Barkley on your team. You got him on there. You roll with him.
Yeah. Okay, man. I appreciate you joining me, man. Let's do it next. Plan on it tentatively next Saturday, about the same time, so 9:15 our time, which will be 12:15 a.m. So right after midnight Eastern. I got a real late crowd. I get more people. I get more people in the lives, like 300 strong, when I go live at like 10 p.m. our time, which is like 1 a.m. Yeah. So it's weird, especially on work nights, school nights. People just they get crazy about it. But if I go live earlier, I get less people.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I guess because people are settled in, they're in their bed or whatever. They want something to do. Yeah.
They want you to tuck them in at night.
They do. They want you to. I get people. They said this last week, you haven't been on live this week. I missed the entertainment. I'm like, geez, man. Okay, I'll go live. Don't worry.
They want bang Niner gang to put them to bed.
I had to come on live yesterday to do my prediction show because every Friday I come and like do a prediction, and I might, pretend I'm the quarterback. Call John Lynn.
Yeah.
I do my whole thing. So they're like, you got to go on live on Friday. So I'm sitting there with my sore throat, coughing and talking about the predictions, and I loved it. So it's good. Dr.
Raj, find him on Instagram, RSF49ers. He's also on Twitter at OSF49ers. So it's not R, it's just O. And so we'll see you tentatively next Saturday night at 9:15 Pacific, 12:15 a.m. Eastern. So we'll see you. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, did great. Thank you.
All right, thanks, man.
That was pretty cool. I'm glad we did that. He's only on IG yet, in Twitter. So very, very glad to have him on. I appreciated that. And that's fun, man. That's good to get a doctor's take. We were doing on Thursday night that halftime show we do. So if you don't follow me on that Thursday night halftime show, every Thursday night of the Thursday night game, we go live on Instagram together and talk about, the game, the 49ers, any injuries. And we talked, Pat Mahomes had just gotten hurt. So we talked and broke that down. He predicted a dislocated kneecap. So it was fun. It was not fun talking about Pat Mahomes getting hurt, but it was fun breaking down an injury live with him when it happened. But he's a doctor. He's a physical therapist by day, a super doctor by night, fighting fantasy football injury crime with us. And he's going to join us next week on Saturday. So definitely make sure you tune in for more injury talk. And I'm sorry about the 108 people in here instead of 300. That's probably my fault. My system went down and it started freaking out, and I had to unplug my soundboard. I had to unplug everything and restart, and I think that nobody got the alert when the show restarted. So it happens. So I'm going to answer some questions for the next few minutes, and then we're going to call it a night tonight. But go ahead and hit me with a speed round. I'm not going to go back up, so post your question below, and let me help you and answer some questions real quickly. So first one is Mixon or Lazard. You're going to go Mixon, man. You drafted Mixon in the second round. I'm not a big fan. I told you not to, even though you may specifically not have heard me. But, I mean, in general, the show told you not to go after Mixon, but he's your second round pick. Hopefully you didn't take him in the first. You can't bench him. Find a way to get Lazard in your lineup at your flex spot or something, but Mixon's got to be in your lineup. Maybe you traded for Mixon, though, but I would start him over Lazard, and you can't start the Lizard over Mixon. You just can't. Smitty Gurley. Actually, let me walk that back, because last week proved that anything can happen, so I would not do that. If you want to do that, go ahead. I'm not making you do that. You're making your own decision there. Odds are Mixon's a better play. Anything can happen. Lazard or Robbie. I think Robbie Anderson has the momentum. Smitty K says Gurley or Carlos Hyde. God, that's a tough one. I think Gurley's a little bit riskier, but may have more upside if he gets those TDs and plays more than we expect. But Carlos Hyde is definitely safer. So I'd probably go Carlos Hyde. I'd probably go Henderson over both of them. Maybe Henderson over Gurley, but maybe not over Carlos Hyde. I probably would still play Henderson because I'm a Henderson fan, and I'm biased, I'm cloudy, and I can't see straight when it comes to Darrell Henderson. Robbie or Lazard, you got to go Robbie. Pretty soon got to sit your loss on Mixon. He's bringing you down. I don't know if you sit him, but I think you got to try and trade him the first moment you can, and I don't know that you'll be able to. Smitty, how do you feel about Calvin Ridley? I love him this week. I think that the matchup is going to put pressure on Julio, and containing Julio will be the goal of that defense in Week 7. So look for Ridley to have maybe one of those 100-yard and TD, one TD, maybe two TD games. Can't wait to start Ridley in a lot of my leagues. But anything can happen, and that Falcons offense could have literally nothing. That happens. It's happened before. Brissett or Minshew? I think I go Brissett, man. I'm playing a tiebreaker for WFFC qualifier on FanDuel against 12 other peeps. It's okay to play. Do you have a question, Juan, that I can help you with on that? Monty or Henderson? I'd probably go Henderson, man. I know it's a little bit bold, but really, is it? Monty's kind of sketchy right now. But Monty could do well at any moment. Just know that. Know that if he gets the workload, he will tear it up. Projections on Hendy this week. I'm going to go with 70 total yards and a touchdown. That's my hope. And I hope he blows that out of the water. If you're going to start two, Montgomery Chase Edmonds, Singletary, Henderson, or Robbie. Your safe plays are Robbie and probably Singletary. But Henderson is somebody to consider over Singletary. It looks like David Johnson will play, so Chase Edmonds I would not play, but he still could do okay. You never know. And Monty's questionable. So I think it goes down to Robbie and Singletary to be safe, and Hendy over one of those two if you feel like rolling that dice. If you frequent Vegas 2 or 3 times a year, then Hendy's your play. If you're a safe guy, if you don't take very many risks, you don't ride in the carpool lane by yourself once in a while, then you're going to want to go with your boy Robbie and Singletary, I think, in this one. Thank you, Saklan. I appreciate it. Let me drag some of these questions on the screen. It's Hendo time, baby, says Mr. E. I agree. Mark, thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Mark. Buy drop. And thank you for the super chats during the show, guys, during the interview with Dr. Raj. I appreciate it. From Mark. Number 1. Kicker Carolina on a bye. Drop him or AJ Green or take a 0. Oh, man. Can you weather through this, Mark? Because I hate to see you drop any of those guys. But AJ Green, we don't know when he's even coming back. But somebody will pick him up. You can't drop Fuller. You can't drop Tyreek. If you can't take a loss or you can't risk it, then drop your kicker and pick up a kicker, unfortunately. I don't know that that's what you wanted to hear. But if you can weather through it, I'd weather through it. Thank you for the super chat. And definitely follow up if you have another question on that. McLaurin or Robbie Anderson. That is a very tough one, Doobie. You got to get both those guys in your lineup somehow. Yeah, I don't even know that I can answer that, man. Because I don't want this to be on record telling somebody to bench one of these two, because Robbie looked really good, surprisingly good. And McLaurin's a guy I just refuse to bench moving forward. I'm not going to bench him. The guy's special. Better bench stash. David Montgomery or Chase Edmonds. I go Montgomery, but you wouldn't be crazy to go either. Traded Freeman and Eckler for Kamara. I like that. It could go either way, though. I mean, Devonta Freeman looked really good. Maybe that's Royce Freeman. If so, then I really like it. Devonta Freeman looked really good. This could hurt you in the short term because obviously Kamara is not going to play. But if you are doing this in Dynasty, I really like it. If you're doing it in Redraft, I hope you have a nice lead or a comfortable positioning for a playoff spot, because you are looking like you'll potentially be, missing some points here the next week or two. Maybe Kamara sits out again. Maybe Kamara's hampered one more week. But if you can weather through that, I like Kamara better down the stretch. Subscribe if you haven't, guys. It really helps the show. There's some stats that I have access to that suggest that, and it gives you a very general thing in your YouTube dashboard that says that on this show, 50-60% of your viewers were not subscribed, and that's a big number. So I know a lot of you just kind of search for it, but it helps the channel more than I can even explain for you to actually subscribe. And if you hit that bell, you'll be notified when I go live and stuff like that. So please hit the subscribe button if you haven't. It really helps the channel out a ton. Lamar for Mahomes and Waller, too much. Lamar for Mahomes and Waller. No, man. I mean, if you can sit out having Mahomes miss 2 or 3 games and you get Waller, I'd rather have Mahomes and Waller. But I don't know who your QB would be if you got rid of Lamar. So let me know on that. Who should I play, Jimmy Garoppolo or Matt Stafford? Probably Jimmy right now, but that could go either way, man. That's like asking should I start Jimmy Garoppolo or Matthew Stafford? Talking about McLaurin, Singletary, Golden Tate for a flex. I cannot sit McLaurin. I can't do it. I can't sit Singletary, and Golden Tate is a very hard player to bench. I don't know what to tell you other than talking. You should make a trade because this is a very difficult call on a weekly basis. But if I had to, I probably put McLaurin in. But goodness, that's gonna burn you each and every week, it feels. Tacos or pizza? I like both. Don't make me pick. Brissett's dad. Stat line prediction for Dalvin Cook tomorrow: 110 total yards. No, 110 rushing yards, 20 to 30 receiving, and 1 TD at least. Odell struggling, has a terrible schedule coming up. Trade while you can. Depends if you can trade low, bumpy or high. If you can't trade high, then I'd rather ride it out and hope that he somehow has a big year. I mean, playing from behind is a good thing for a receiver. So if they're struggling and their schedule is bad, but they're struggling and throwing a lot, that could mean a lot of yards for Odell. Kerryon Johnson or Woods for my flex. I'm going to say Kerryon Johnson in a typical week would be the guy I'd roll with. But that's a good, maybe trade both of them for one better player. Super chat by Jason. I need a wide receiver off the wire. Most people on my team have a bye. Jason, tell me what wide receivers are available. Lazard might be there, the Lizard. You search for him, see if he's there. Green Bay Packers wide receiver, I like him. But I need to know a list. So, Jason, I'll look out for your follow-up question and pull that onto the screen here, and we'll talk about who to pick up. Trade Odell Beckham Jr. for Evans. I would in a heartbeat, Joshua. I loved Odell coming into the year, but you gotta retreat sometimes in fantasy football and be honest with yourself. And Odell's not the number one wide receiver. I thought he had a chance to be, but this Cleveland offense is horrible right now, minus Chubb. But Chubb could get focused on if they're not careful and don't unleash the passing attack a little bit and give Chubb some room to run, because that room is going to get lesser and lesser if they don't figure out a way to pass consistently. But I would trade for Evans in a heartbeat. I think Evans is a top 5 to 7 wide receiver. And I know people think this is crazy the way Godwin's been playing. I love Godwin. I think Godwin's going to continue to be elite. But if I had to choose Godwin or Evans moving forward, I probably would lean slightly on the Evans side. And I know a lot of people are going to think that's crazy, but Evans just had a monster game a couple games ago, and everyone's forgetting about it. No 3 TD and 90-yard game. Does anybody remember that game? 190 yards and 3 TDs. And yes, he had a goose egg to follow that up. But why is everybody forgetting how talented he is? And they will continue to rotate. Defenses will continue to kind of switch who they're going to contain. Godwin's going to get a lot more focus in upcoming weeks. On Instagram, I've got Waller or Melvin Gordon. That's a tough one. Depends if you need a tight end really bad or a running back. I think you could probably go either way. I like Melvin Gordon's upside a little bit more. Are you still low on Edelman or getting rid of him any chance you get? I'm not getting rid of him at any chance I get, and he is playing well, I'll admit. But I would sell lateral if I could into a player that's also doubted that I like a little better, like an Evans, or if I could give up a little more with Edelman to get Hopkins. I make those kind of moves to try and get myself into a player I like a little bit better for the long run. I traded Diggs for Mixon. This is from Young. I traded Diggs for Mixon before the 40-point game. You might have messed up, Young, because I'm not a Mixon fan at all and haven't been all year long, but you never know. And Jason, I'm looking for you for your follow-up on who's available in your league. So Jason, please post who's available so I can help you out on that. Juju, a buy low, absolutely. Buy him before the bye week because he might be even cheaper. People will be like, I don't want to wait a week. I don't even want him, period. Definitely look to buy low. Saklan, stat line prediction for Dalvin Cook tomorrow. I already said that. I'm not sure if you heard it, Saklan, but for Dalvin Cook, I'm predicting the 110 rushing-ish yards, a TD, and like 20 to 30 receiving. It was Fuller last week. It was Stephon Diggs. Who do you think it will be this week? That's a good question. I don't know what player is going to be that guy. If I had to guess, let me look at some receivers real quick. Thank you for the super chat. I'm going to check your question on a second. Let's go to the weekly rankings, and I will tell you who I think that guy will be. I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to give you two names, and I'm going to say T.Y. Hilton has a monster game. I know he's not a deep guy, so I'll give you a deep guy too. And I think in terms of a very deep guy blowing up, I'm going to say, man, I don't see anybody like super late. It might be a mid-range guy. I'm going to go with McLaurin. I'm going to say McLaurin has another big game. Nobody really surprising. Oh, Ridley. We'll go with Ridley. So I think McLaurin will do well. But I think Ridley's a guy that some people are benching. So he fits the mold for that guy, Diggs. And I think that McLaurin does well, but I think Ridley has like that 101 or 2 TD game. I'm hoping. And should I trade Gore for Brady, but I have Dak? Gore might fall to the back seat now that Singletary's back. Now, could Singletary get banged up and Gore be relevant again? Yeah, but you know what? I like that trade no matter what. Because you give yourself a backup QB or a QB that maybe Dak starts struggling. Everyone was so quick to make him a top 4 or 5 QB, top 3 when he started off really hot. But I kind of felt like that might not hold. And he still could be top 5 to 6, moving forward. But what if he isn't? You have yourself Brady and that security for the cost of a Gore. I take that no question, no matter how Gore is fitting into that offense this week. And it's trending in a bad direction for Gore owners. But I think for you got to make that move because it secures your backup very, very well. Nothing better than knowing you have a quarterback that can step in and be, elite, like if anything happened. Available, Jason, you have Cobb, Beasley, Lazard. I take Lazard and I start him. I think he has potential. Pretty decent rapport with A-Rod. A lot of hype behind him. Not saying hype is always correct, but groupthink is always a pretty good indication of what you should maybe do. And the groupthink on this, I imagine, would be, hey, Lazard is the guy. If Cobb would be, if Amari wasn't playing, it looks like Amari Cooper is going to play. So you have Gallup, Cooper, and now Cobb. So he's not quite in the and there's more receivers there as well. I would probably say go with Lazard. So good question, Lazard, the Lizard, and he's got a cool nickname, the Lizard. How can you not like that? Trade McLaurin for T.Y. Hilton. Oh my God. In redraft, I probably would, and that's hard for me to say. But rookies have a tendency to kind of go like this, even the best of the best. Rookies don't excel all year long. They have kind of bumps in the road. And T.Y. is still arguably second round to third round material. I think you would be drafting him way too high in a second round level. But he has the potential for that. Like if you were drafting today, you'd want to get him later. But I'm just saying he has that upside. That is pretty darn good to trade and get into a safe T.Y. Hilton who, is bye week free at this point. So that's a big advantage. Let's see if everything's good to go health-wise for him. Looks good. Had his bye week in week six. That's a big deal, guys, to have a player that has already had their bye. That's like another, for T.Y. Hilton, another 15, 20 points. That's huge. Okay, thanks, Smitty. No problem. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. Kamara thoughts. I trade low on Kamara if possible. I don't buy him high. In Dynasty, I buy him high. In Dynasty, I don't buy him at a discount. I'll buy him at his 5 to 10 overall value, which is kind of where his value's hovering because people do doubt him. Don't overpay. But I definitely wouldn't be like, oh, I'm not going to buy him unless I buy him dirt cheap. I buy him at fair market value. Fair market value in Dynasty for Kamara is outside the top 5, probably still in the top 12. So get him in that range. Redraft, you're running a risk with the high ankle sprain that he could be hampered for multiple games. So know the risk if you go get him. Make sure you can weather through a loss or two if you're going to get Kamara. Jaws says I'm starting T.Y. Hilton over a couple good options. I don't blame you. I think T.Y. is going to have a pretty darn good week and rest of the year. Eckler for Breda, a good trade. You could argue it is, but I'd rather have Eckler. I'm not ready to let go of the wide receiver usage that they give this guy. And PPR, he's a machine, but you would not be crazy to go either. Who should I start? Keenan Allen, Gallup, Fitz, or Ridley in standard? Need 3. I start Ridley, I start Keenan, and I think I might have answered this question already, Justin. I'm not sure if it was in an email or if it was on the live, but I think if you want safety, you go Fitzgerald. If you want to roll the dice with more risk but higher upside, you go Gallup. I don't think I have a for sure go with this guy, but I think Keenan and Ridley, I can tell you I would lock into place. Eckler or Singletary, Juju or Lazard. Thank you very much for the super chat, Aaron. Juju or Lazard, I'm sure you're talking long term because Juju's on a bye, but I'd take Juju in a heartbeat over the Lizard. I like the Lizard. I'd probably roster him if I can, but Juju by far on the season, I'd take Juju. But he's on a bye. Make sure you don't play him this week. Eckler or Singletary. Eckler for now, but I'm going to preface that I hope that changes quickly. And so for that, if you want to try and predict the future, roll the dice. Singletary would be the better option, but know that you're rolling the dice a little bit. Although Eckler's usage will go back, it will get scaled back. So he's trending in the wrong direction, Singletary in the right direction. I don't know how much of a risk it really is to say, trading Eckler away for Singletary is trying to catch the value going up and get rid of Singletary or Eckler at the wrong time, but maybe it's getting rid of him at the right time. If Gordon got hurt, Eckler's a top 5 to 7 running back. That's the risk you run, though, whereas Singletary I don't think is going to have that high a value yet, but he will flirt with top 10 running back numbers here and there, and that's pretty good. Eckler could still be 8 to 14, so if things continue to go in the wrong direction for Eckler, then he's a 14th running back, where Singletary could be top 9 to 12. So the safe play is to probably remain Eckler, but I think that Singletary has a little more upside, so you got to kind of play to whatever you're looking to do there. Double A with the super chat. Thank you, Double A, and thank you, Aaron, for the super chat. Much appreciated. Just a thank you, starting off 6-0, Double A, dropping it, man. Thanks for the help, my league mate. Still won't give up DeAndre Hopkins, but I haven't stopped trying to pair him with Julio. Great job. I would trade Julio for Hopkins if it was me, Double A. I don't know if you can pull that off, but I appreciate the super chat and the kudos. And you're a part of this show, Double A. You've been here from probably near the beginning, right? A lot of you have. I want to say Nation Gaming's been here for a long time. Cameron, you might be new, but you're definitely a force already. Justin's been here a long time. Forgive me if I'm not catching everybody inside the chat right now. Of course, guys like Nick and Doobie and MT, and we got a lot of guys that have been here from the start. A lot of guys and gals. We are expanding our reach to all different age groups too, which is really cool. Got some of the young kids in here, and that's why sometimes I'll turn my hat like that. Then when the old fogies come in, I'll straighten it back up. I've got the Halloween decorations. I'm going to be doing some kind of holiday theme, I think, moving forward. So expect something around Christmas time, which is my favorite time of the year. So you can bet that I'm gonna deck the halls during the month of December. AKA PAFAS. Bumpy, you've been with me. Like, we're not talking the show. Like, you've been with me since I, was going through puberty in fantasy football. Back when I was, a young buck, barely able to drive. No, I'm just kidding. Barely able to drink, maybe. We'll say 3 or 4 or 5 years into drinking, which I don't really do. I should do on the show 1 or 2 times. That would be funny. I would be quite entertaining. So I'll put that on the docket. I got to do that one of these times. Slam some down. I'm not sure if that's something you can do on here or not. I'll have to look into that. But Bumpy has been with me since puberty, and Bumpy has, seen all the trials and tribulations I've gone through, different movement from one site to another. I got acquired at one time, and now I'm back doing my own thing. I have been for the last 4 years now. I was acquired and running some other company's fantasy football site, getting paid to do that, and it was fun, great experience. But I'm like, you know what? I miss having my own thing, which is riskier because you're paying your own bills monthly. You have to figure that out. You're on your own. But I enjoy it, man. I love it. And you guys help out. You don't even know, these super chats help out a ton. Everything helps out. You guys are amazing. The hitting subscribe alone and the thumbs up, those things help me make money and monetize the channel. I try not to worry too much about that and just deliver content and not think about the numbers. I do have to think about the goal, and the goal getting to 10,000 subscribers by December 31st. If we do that, you guys have no idea what that's going to do for you. And I know everybody's and I mean this in a good way. I don't mean this to rip on anyone, but I know everybody's very selfish with their fantasy football content. They don't want to share it with anybody else, but you guys don't even know. You can't even comprehend what I would be able to do if we get to 30 and 40 and 50,000 subscribers. The kind of freedom that will allow me to let go of other things and focus on video, focus on providing a daily show. I can't even explain how much more appealing the show would be, helpful to you. And even if you can't tell the person in your league, tell people at the water cooler at work, go into a sports bar once a year for me and just say, hey, here's, go to this website or go to this YouTube channel. And it's very easy to tell people to go to thefantasyfootballshow.com because it'll send them right to the YouTube channel. So it's a very easy way to have somebody go to the show or direct them to the show, is to say, go to thefantasyfootballshow.com. More questions. Let's go. How the F? There are 171 people in here and only 70 likes. I agree, David. If we can get that number to 100, I will wear the skull on my shoulder the remainder of the show, or I'll wrap my head in cobwebs. So please hit the thumbs up. Not hitting the thumbs up, there's cobwebs on the flag. Not hitting the thumbs up is a flag on the play. I gotta spread this on the mic later. Right, this looks like strange like that. All right, Mike Evans and Monty for D-Hop. That's tough. In redraft, I do it. In Dynasty, I don't know. I don't know that I do that, but in redraft, for sure. I'm still waiting for the slap. Cameron, we had to get to 100. I told you guys I'd slap myself in the face if we got to 100 on the last show. And I don't know how hard I'd actually hit myself. I'm not going to knock TMJ into my jaw or anything. Rodgers or Stafford, I go A-Rod. Thoughts on Todd Gurley, McVay City expected to play. We covered this. Christian, watch the beginning of the show, definitely, so you know. We had Dr. Raj on talking about Todd Gurley's knee, the contusion, the fact that he's probably getting injured in those. Even though a contusion can occur from getting hit with a helmet or whatever, he's more susceptible because he's compensating with that knee. I think he'll probably get 50% of the work, and if he gets more, he'll probably get hurt. Your thoughts on been here since Reddit? Oh my God, so Clan, Did you find me from Reddit? Which is shocking because Reddit is so negative. I've gone there before, Seclan, and I just stopped going because you can't post anything on Reddit and get a positive reaction anymore. But Seclan, I would be honored if you could once in a while post a link from YouTube on there. Seclan, you want to be my Reddit promoter? I would love to talk to you about that. I'm going to let everyone know at the club that you're the effing shiot. All my boys are going to mash on your videos and content. I like the sound of this, man. And we're going to get some in 220. You'll be unstoppable. I'm telling you guys right now, if we get to 10,000 before the end of the year, so December 31st, that will double and triple potentially before the season starts, which means we'll be at a 25 to 30,000 following heading into August. If we can get to 10, it's so important to get to 10 before that January date comes. If we're at 6,000, if we just double from here on out, then we might double that and be 12,000 by August, but we need to be at 10 by the end of the year. I'm not big on numbers. I don't produce content to try and get views. But the goal of that, growing the show is on my mind and weighs on my mind. And I try and figure out ways to get there without compromising the show, the integrity of the show, the direction, the content. I could produce videos and try and get some more like viral things to go, to get out there. But instead, I know you guys enjoy the lives. I do what you guys want. You guys want the lives more than you like the content that's, created and produced. Although I do both of it because I do need a mix of it. But that's what you guys want. Yeah, F Reddit says, Audrich, am I saying that right? But I would like Seclan to potentially lead up that front because then I could get some linkage out there. The more places that, I don't know if you guys know too much about social or SEO and analytics and stuff like that as it relates to a site and growth and channels and page rank and all that. But the more places you're linked to, the more it shows that you're popular. Therefore, you'll be ranked higher. You'll come up higher in searches and stuff like that. So having links from like Reddit and stuff that aren't just produced by me will show that people are spreading the word about the show. It's popular. Seclan says, I subbed to you because I loved your James Conner analysis video before week 1 and you posted it on Reddit and people there were so mean to you. I don't know why. So I wanted to show you support. Love to help you out. Great. What the heck? I had something happen outside my house. I could hear. I got security cameras up, so I'm looking. That was weird. I heard like a bang on the side of my house. It's like 11 o'clock at night. What if we filmed a live break-in? What the hell was that sound? I don't see anybody. I had a guy, I should show the footage of the guy trying to break into my house at, I think, 3 a.m. And he had his shoes off and he's holding his shoes. And he was hiding something like behind his back, like I don't know if it was a weapon or whatever. He tried to open both car doors, went around the side of the house, tried to get around the side, came back to the front door. I got all my security cameras, and just looking, heard like a big bang on the side of the. What's up, Gary? Seclan's the man. Seclan is the man. Dynasty Reddit is legit. Well, let's attack it. Jaws, how about this? Jaws and Seclan, I nominate you two to be my ambassadors of Reddit. Now, you can't just spam the hell out of the links or people won't, you'll get blocked. And Paranormal Activity, Greg, maybe. It was weird. It was like somebody like drove like at least a bike or something into the wall. Are you armed? Yeah. Yes and no. Not to the degree I'd like to be. Is the Reddit users coming for you? Maybe something fell. I know it sounded like someone hit the wall. But I have my cameras up. I'm looking at the surveillance. I have them all. I've shown you guys the studio before, right? Let's see if I can switch cameras. It's really messy. I don't know if I want to show anybody. So here's my camera right here. I have there's a car driving by. What's he doing on our street? What's he doing? But I have the TV, the monitor set up. This monitor is not on. I want to move that monitor potentially over here so that I can have like a display of some kind. But I don't know how clear it's going to be on the camera. So and then we have the marker board, which you can do mock drafts on, and the green screen with a magnetic board behind it. I'll show you the studio again. I'll show you the studio again in more detail once I clean it. It's gotten real messy. I do some stuff out and about, and I did get the new coasters in. These are pretty cool. Got all these in. The stickers in. The round stickers are in. And then I got the large Sleeper U stickers in. I have the headphone, the Fantasy Football Show clear stickers, and then the Monkey Knife Fight apparel. So I wanted to talk about this before we go. So Jaws, I didn't get to see Jaws and Seclan. Will you guys be my Reddit ambassadors? And I'll talk to you more about that. I did SEO in my software engineering internship. I know how to utilize it really well. I would love to help you on some social media. I have to pay it back to you. Thank you, Seclan. Let's talk. For those of you that want a Monkey Knife Fight fitted hat, which is actually pretty darn cool, these suckers, I'm giving away 2 of them this week to the people that join. Let me put up the graphic. Thanks again, Seclan. Glad you found us. Glad you found the show, man. Let's see here. Right here. I'll be giving away 2 of these hats. They're fitted. They're not the freaking old man, band in the back. Fitted Monkey Knife Fight hats. Black. So comfortable. These are awesome hats. Like, this is worth whatever minimum they have on Monkey Knife Fight. I think it's like $10 to $13, $14, whatever. This hat's worth that. I'm not saying I'm giving them away to everybody that does this, but I'll be giving away 2 hats to anybody. Sorry, I'm giving away 2 hats to 2 people, and if there's only 4, 5, 6 people that enter today, you'll be available to get one of those hats, because I'm going to make sure I give 1 away to the earlier crowd in the week and 1 away to the crowd tonight and yesterday. So and not many people did it yesterday, so make sure you do it tonight. If you go to mkf.win/Smitty and then you register, then you deposit, and when you deposit, you use promo code Smitty. When you make your deposit, it'll ask you for that once you deposit, and then send me a screenshot. That screenshot, I will pick from those screenshots of proof that you did it using that link and using that promo code, and then I will give away coupons to go get this free hat on the Monkey Knife Fight, or I'll get your information and have them just mail you a hat. Also, though, I will be giving out to every single entry. So if you don't get this and you do this tonight, if you don't win the hat, I will still call you and do a 20-minute analysis with you on your team, whatever. So your worst case scenario is you win a 20-minute phone call with me, or preferably Skype I'm not Skype, but if you could do Instagram video chat, then we can do a video chat on Instagram and I can help you with your team, talk about Netflix, whatever you want. But that's your worst case scenario. So go deposit, go to this link, register. First time depositors using this promo code get a $50 bonus match up to 50. So if you put in 20, you'll get a $20 bonus match. If you put in 50, you'll get a $50 bonus match if it's your first time, first account, first deposit. And then play awesome. Play awesome, Xavier. All right, last few questions. We got 200 people in the room, only 87 thumbs up. What am I doing? If we can get to 100 thumbs up, I didn't have the candle lit. What's my problem? What should I do if we get to 100 thumbs up? We're at 88. I'll wear the skull on my shoulder the remainder of the show. Actually, I can't. I can't take it off this bar. So never mind. Melvin Gordon versus Diggs. Diggs is safer. Melvin Gordon, riskier. You don't know what usage he's going to get, but probably has more upside to get 100 and a touchdown, let's be honest. Xavier says, come on, y'all. How are the muscle ups coming? Good. Not as good as I'd like. I'm trying to lose weight, and I've been gaining weight. I don't know how. I don't know if it's the muscle up that's causing me to gain weight doing the pull-ups. I don't know. I know muscle weighs more than fat, but I still usually trim down when I'm doing anything like that. So I don't know if it's just me getting older or what the hell is going on, but I'm gaining weight instead of losing weight. So it's going to be hard for me to do a muscle up, but I can do 12 pull-ups now. I can only touch my chin, though. I can't hit my chest at the bar like a lot of people do because I feel like I'm just too heavy for that because I'm like 215, 217. But I can do 12 of them now. I'm at about the point where I told my coach that from Bar Stars that I would check in with him. So I need to check in with him and maybe try doing the muscle ups on a live. Still feel like I'm hearing that noise. It's probably the dog hitting the wall. It's ricocheting around. John Brown, McLaurin, Singletary. I go with McLaurin myself, but Singletary is really hard to sit, man. So, you can pick two. So I probably pick those two. John Brown, if he was totally healthy, the matchup screaming John Brown. But so again, guys, if you want to get a 20-minute phone call, whoever does it tonight is going to get it. 20-minute phone call. That's a lock. But if you do tonight, send me a screenshot, and you can email it to me at Smitty at SleeperU. Email me that screenshot of your deposit, or just proof. It doesn't have to be any personal information necessarily, but just proof that you made the deposit. I'll give you a 20-minute phone call and enter you in for the hat. TY Cam what? Wally Pip is. But Audrich, thank you if I'm saying that name right. I hope I am. Tell me if I'm not. Appreciate you. Smitty, pick one. Cole Beasley, Sanu, Tavon Austin, the Lizard, or Philip Dorsett. Pick one. Probably Sanu or the Lizard. Lizard has more risk versus reward, maybe. And Sanu might be feeling kind of steady. Sanu could have a big game, though, but Jaws says it's getting older. That's making grab Hendy over AP. I don't know. AP's. I mean, yeah, I would, but AP maybe try and get both. AP could play pretty well here for the next couple weeks. The new coaching staff is going to want to run the ball a lot. He could have some pretty good games. Cameron, he was thanking me, Smitty, father. Trade McCoy for Todd Gurley. As much as I can't stand Gurley, maybe, because you can turn that into more. Don't you think? Start Mixon or Lat Murray. I start Lat Murray this week. Would you consider the Colts D against Houston? Only good available waiver I have are the Eagles. Yuck. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a tough call. I don't think Houston's going to create a lot of opportunity for you. Brissett's dad says, I will find your house with that driveway shot. Let's not, Brissett. I doubt you will. Fournette for Bell. I take Bell. Smitty, would have thought that you would have at least 30 to 40,000 subs. Let's get the PR going. Thank you, Computer Bob. Email me if you want to help, man. I do need like 5 to 10 people that want to help. And I don't know what I can do for you aside from, at the moment saying like you get free subscriptions every year to Sleeper U when you're helping me do some stuff. So if you're interested in that, email me. So Computer Bob, I'd love to hear from you. Saklan, I'd love to hear from you. Who else was going to help on Reddit? I'm blanking out already. Who was it that was going to help me with Reddit? It was Saklan and who? My freaking memory. I only have so much space and things like get bumped out. I have so much going on in my head constantly. You answered my question last week. Thank you so much. I subscribe today and thumbs up for every video or live chat I'm in. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Joey. What kind of help, Tim? So getting the word out, trying to get subscribers. So whether that's, Jaws. Was it Jaws? Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jaws. So Jaws, email me. Saklan, email me. You can just go to sleeperu.com, go through the contact form. Anybody else that's interested, Doobie. Thank you, Doobie, Jaws. Anybody else that wants to help, the things that you can do to help is just get subscribers. That's the main thing. Get people over to the show. If you have an idea for it, that'd be great. But if Saklan and Jaws are active on Reddit at all, I think Jaws said about Dynasty, and we're going to do Dynasty content up the this year, starting really now. I've done 2 Dynasty videos already in the last 48 hours. But Dynasty content, I think, on Reddit would be huge. So if I can get some people that want to post it, not spam it to where you get blocked or the videos get blocked or people hate Sleeper U and the Fantasy Football Show because we're just spamming their forum. I'm not saying that. But posting helpful stuff. Figuring out ways to get people to subscribe and to get really good subscribers, not just fake numbers or anything. I don't want any of that. I don't want... I don't mind if you have a couple accounts saying you're doing it and it's your account. But I want real, legit, awesome followers like we have right now. So growing that. If you guys have any ideas, you can send it my way in that email. And, if people are helping, I'm going to give you a free Sleeper U membership, the years that you're helping. So, all right. Any final questions before we call it? Time for me to KO Smitty. Looking forward to the live stream tomorrow. Yep, let's get on it. Let's get a good night's sleep for tomorrow. What's with the thumb down? Whoever's doing that, what do you want? Just speak up and tell me. Let's just be honest. Tell me what you need. Because you keep going like that. You're putting it up, you're putting it down. Like, what do you need? Tell me what you want. Videos don't see, but I think would have a huge appeal is a live trade analysis show. That's good, Joey. The problem I have, Joey, is everybody's asking start bench questions and trade questions in the chat. Like, you can't stay focused. And I do feel like when I do lives, people want their question answered like this. Like we do a Q&A, and I can't even do like a set topic on a live. And if I do a set topic on a live, typically I I don't want to say people get disinterested, but they want people respond. The numbers climb as I do the Q&A. When I do a set topic, the numbers aren't climbing as high. It's kind of crazy. So oftentimes you guys drive the content on the Q&As on the lives because it's what you guys want, and I want to make sure, and I can tell whether you guys like it because the viewers go up. You know, we hit 200 right now versus earlier we were at 100. I still love the show and the segment we did, but just, you know, kind of proving the point that you guys want a certain thing with your live, and that's why even when I have a guest on, even when I have a set topic or if we're doing news, I do the Q&A at the end because I want to make sure you guys get what you want. Mark with a super chat. Thank you, Mark. Great show, Smitty. Chark or Gallup tomorrow. I go Chark. Anything can happen. Gallup can have 102 TDs. Chark could have 102 TDs. I mean, I hate having to pick one. I really do. But I feel like I'm not benching Chark. And I said that last week against, who was it, Diggs or... I think it was Diggs. It was like, question was, hey, Chark or Diggs? And I'm like, I can't sit Chark. Look what happened. Diggs exploded. Anything can happen, Mark, but I'm starting Chark. I feel like he's the number one on his team, whereas Gallup is the number two. And I don't know that Dak is playing as well as he was. I don't know. He could bounce back, though. Segment your show, but yeah, the interaction is great, but the more viewers you get, the less percentage of viewership gets involved, so at some point something has to give. You're right, Tim, that's very smart thinking, and you're 100% right. Once we get bigger, it'll be harder to answer a lot of the questions, and it's gonna suck for me because I love trying to get to every question as it comes through, and I typically can kind of keep up, and then I have to, once I talk about something for like a minute or two, 60 questions go by, and then I have people upset, Tim. They're like, why aren't you answering my question, Smitty? And then they post like their question over and over and cloud up the chat. We'll make do. We'll adapt as we go, right? Thank you for the super chat, Mark. But I go Chark. That's me. And guys, can you answer for Mark whether you would start Chark or Gallup? And post it below. Let's help him out. But you're right. It's good thinking. More individual rankings like Arizona versus Tennessee or versus Eagles versus wide receivers are hardcore. FFers like that a lot. Yeah, I'll try and do more rankings show. MG Toe. Robbie or Auden, anything can happen. Tate or Robbie, I go Robbie, but that's me. I want Take a Lap as my ringtone. Let me see if I can figure that out for you. I can send you a file. Chark. Mr. E says, you hate me for not answering, LOL. I love when people say that. Like, I don't try to ignore anybody. Gallup versus the Eagles. Gallup. Chark. You're kind of torn, man. It's 50-50. Dak or Matty Ice. Probably Dak. Matchup-wise. Another Gallup vote. Mark, everyone's saying Gallup, or not everybody. The majority so far, majority by 1 or 2, is saying Gallup. Poor secondary, says Doobie. So, Tim, are you interested in helping? I don't know what kind of help we can come up with for everybody. It could be individually different for everybody. I think Seclan and Jaws, email me, guys. Seclan and Jaws, email me. We'll head up Reddit. Tim says Gallup, too. Tim, if you have any other ideas, love to get your take. Seclan, if you have any other SEO ideas. Basically, there are two things that can get the show big. One, getting the link out. And not spamming it, but getting it out in a positive and relevant fashion. So posting links to the videos, letting people know when we're live. Snacking with Seclan. Tim wants to have a segment called Snacking with Seclan. I like that. Email me, Tim, through Sleeper U. Just go to sleeperu.com, hit the contact form. Are you a member of SleeperU, Tim? Cameron wants to help. Cameron, go to sleeperu.com and scroll to the bottom and click the contact form and email me, Cameron. We'll figure something out, even if it's you passing out something at school, because that could be huge. Maybe, Cameron, we do a live correspondent interview with Smitty through your phone on Instagram, Cameron, to get the take of the college kids. What college are you at? Maybe we figure out something, Cameron, on campus for you. Can you upload a 2-hour version of Take a Lap? That's not a bad idea, Brissett. Just a 2-hour take a lap, take a lap, take a lap, take a lap. 2 hours? I can do that. Tim, okay. I think I don't always put it together that, because a lot of people share the same name. Top Gun. Okay, I remember you now. Yeah, email me, Tim. Let's talk. We'll figure it out. But there's got to be. I'll come up with a. I don't know if anybody's got mastermind with this stuff. I do pretty well with innovating this kind of stuff and SEO and organic growth. So I'm not incompetent with it, but dude, I've been doing it so long, I could use a fresh set of eyes and ideas on how to market the show specifically. I've been marketing Sleeper U for freaking 16. Well, I've moved and changed the name because I was acquired, and then I stepped away and started Sleeper U as my entity, my home, my new home, and it's been my new home for 4 years since I left the site that acquired me and my previous site. But I haven't got the fantasy football show marketed to the degree I'd like to, and that's what I think we can come together and figure out a way to guerrilla market this thing. Because, man, there's some pride involved in being a part of a show from the ground up. If this becomes a 100,000 subscriber show in a couple years, if we ever got so lucky to be even bigger than that, to know you were a part of it from the ground up is pretty cool. To know you were here when we were in the 2 and 3 and 1,000 range, or even under. Some of you have been here since we were in the hundreds. Just to know you were a big part of that growth, and we'll do some kind of wall of fame for those that help get the show growing. Gilmore has owned Robbie Anderson, covering him so hard to trust him this week, says Doobie. Brissett or Wentz, I go Brissett, but that's me. Goodwin or Dorsett? What's Goodwin done at all lately? Does anybody have anything positive to say about Goodwin? Am I missing something? I feel a little bit embarrassed that I don't know if Goodwin's even caught a catch. Thank you for subscribing, Seth. Don't think I don't see those coming through my email when you guys do them. Marquise Goodwin, I'm going to feel embarrassed if he's been playing good, because I honestly don't even know if he's done anything at all. 40 yards in week 5. I'm shocked that he had 41 yards. I had no idea that Marquise Goodwin had 41 yards. Last week he had 2 catches for 15. I just feel like I haven't heard anything about him. So I don't know that I could start Goodwin. What about the Lizard? Is he available instead of Goodwin? I have New England defense worth picking up. Steelers versus Miami, or Vikings defense versus Washington to block my next week opponent who has the highest seed ruling waivers. That's not a bad idea, Ozzy. I've done it before. Now I'm obsessed with looking at the cameras right now, just seeing if there's any shady characters out there tonight. Yeah, Goodwin, Mark, I'm not high on. John Brown or Mike Williams? John Brown if he's a go. Larry the Legend, Allen Robinson, or Amari Cooper? Amari Cooper if he's a go, and he appears to be. But Ozzy, back to your question, blocking all the defenses that way isn't a horrible idea. What you could also do, though, Ozzy, this is really shady. But Ozzy, find a guy that you want. Okay, this is really shady, guys. Don't only do this in cutthroat leagues where people are okay with this. I'm not advocating you to mess up your league or the camaraderie or make anybody want to disinvite you from playing again. But Ozzy, here you go. This is the sneaky old trick from the old man here. If there's a player you do want to pick up that player last, but use the drop that you intend to drop them, pick up a defense, then drop them, pick up the defense. I mean, this is like before kickoff. So like if this is happening tomorrow, but you're talking about down the way. So this might not help you right now. But I have a buddy that fails to pick up his defense or kicker when he has a bye until the morning of. Like he literally just doesn't have time. He gets on there. And one time we were within a few points of each other. We had made a side bet that I would beat him. He'd beat me. I don't know if it was 20 or $50 or whatever. And I knew that he didn't have a defense or a kicker. He had a bye. So I went on the night before, because I know that when you drop somebody, you lock them for 24 hours. I used one spot, and I picked up every available defense and dropped them for the next one. Just kept dropping them, picking them up one after the other until I got all of the defenses on waivers for 24 hours. Then I went through all the kickers and picked them all up. And it's because this is a cutthroat league where we typically will bust each other's balls. If you drop somebody on accident, you don't get them back and everybody laughs at you. It's cutthroat as crazy. It's crazy. So I literally picked up all the defenses and all the kickers, put them on waivers, and then finally with that same spot that I was using over and over, I picked up the guy that I wanted for the week. And that's one way to burn your opponent in such a league where that's appropriate. It's not always appropriate. Kind of a shady tactic, to be honest. Any thoughts on Antonio Brown if he clears the mess? Got an extra spot yeah, I mean, if you've got a spot where you're definitely not going to learn or, pick up anybody that's worth anything, grab them and wait. Why not? Ozzy says that's savage, but you have to be strategic. It was only appropriate in that league. I would not do that in a fellow expert league where I'd burn some bridges and people think, oh, God, I don't want to play with Smitty. But this league was designed to be cutthroat. So it was savage, and it was a fun way to screw over my buddy. And he's laughing upset, but he was laughing. He's like, you son of... But let me also admit, so that was admitting my savageness, right? Let me admit one of my failures with the same guy. I bet him, I think it was like $100 that I would outscore him on the year. And it came down to, what was it? Janikowski, the kicker for the Oakland Raiders. I was down by half a point. Or no, I was up by half a point. And it was a Monday night game. The season was over. It was week 16. And literally, I was down half a point. He had Janikowski going. So all Janikowski had to do was kick one extra point, and he beat me and won the $100. So he told me, if you pay me $50 now before the game started, I will let you out of the bet. And I took it. And Janikowski, they didn't score one extra point or one field goal. I ended up winning the bet and still paying this guy $50. So he deserved to have me go savage on him. I think it was like a couple years later. But that burned. It burned to win and really lose at the same time. That's a Smitty failure story for you. But that was hilarious. We still laugh about that to this day. That I actually took the $50, or I paid him $50, and then I watched Janikowski literally fail to kick an extra point. I forget what year that was. It had to have been like 2007 or 6 or something like that. I had this on screen for forever, and I haven't even read it. Sorry. And when is Cam Newton going to be the starter for the Tampa Bay Bucks? I don't know. Sorry I didn't answer that question. Hey, Smitty, PPR, Amari or Diggs this week? Diggs is probably safer given Amari's been banged up, but it's hard to bench Amari. I don't think I could bench Amari. if he's playing. LOL, I won that year because of that. You remember the same game that I'm talking about? Janikowski was like 2007, 2008, something like that. That's crazy if you remember that. See Doobie dedication. Dedication will grow the channel. Smitty was getting ready to get off an hour ago. Yes, I was. Thank you, Doobie, for the reminder. Okay. Brissett's leaving. Thank you, Brissett. We'll see you later. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I don't have the music to queue up. We're at 240 now and 101 subscribers. 101 subscribers. Told you I had to wear something if we got to 100. 101 subscribers. Or subscribers. God, I can't even think. 101 thumbs up. I hope we have more than 100 subscribers. And 239 people in the room. I hate to leave you guys. It's a lot of people to just not talk to for the next half hour to an hour. But we have the morning show coming up. Join me 1 hour before kickoff right here on the Fantasy Football Show. You can find me going to thefantasyfootballshow.com. Okay, Audrich, I will. Go to thefantasyfootballshow.com should you ever get lost and need to find your way home. But please subscribe. And it's my cobweb hat. 101 subscribers, bedtime, yeah. We're at 30. We're going toward 3,700 subscribers. Those of you that want to help, please email me at sleeperu.com. If you want to help grow the channel, brainstorm with how to get the word out. Join me tomorrow morning in less than 9 hours, less than 9 hours. We'll be live here on youtube.com/thefantasyfootballshow. See you later. And don't forget this monkey knife fight deal. Go to mkf.win/Smitty. Register. Use promo code Smitty when you deposit. And you can win one of these suckers that I'm giving away. And worst case scenario, I like this. This looks like hair. This is what I'm going to look like in a couple years. But you'll win a 20-minute phone call at the very least with me if you go do that tonight. If you email me a screenshot at sleeperu.com, email me a screenshot of you depositing and using this promo code at deposit time, registering through that link. Thank you guys. See you tomorrow. Good luck. Talk to you later. Last chance to like the video, boys, says Cameron. Cameron, we're going to get you out on the town. Out on camp. What campus is it, Cameron? Tell me real quick. What campus are you at, Cameron? What college? 2 hours. Take a lap. Do it. Macho Man hat. One of my favorite Smitty live streams. Thank you. Even though we had technical difficulties, no outro music, no nothing, I still appreciate it, Cameron. 2 hour take a lap. You guys think that'll respond well? A 2 hour take a lap, just upload. Will you guys play it? Will you guys thumb it up? See you, Ozzy. Email me, Ozzy. Doobie. Okay, Doobie, thank you. Get a video of that being like put up on the big screen if you can. That would be funny. Video clip of it. Okay, Cameron, I'm not many football fans here. Okay, we're going to get you to work anyway somehow. All right, guys, take it easy. Tomorrow morning, less than 9 hours and something, we'll be live here on youtube.com/thefantasyfootballshow. See you later, everybody.